Hi, I'm Gareth Green, and in this video we're going to have a think about how to build augmented and diminished chords. Now, lots of people are happy about major chords and minor chords. When it comes to this augmented, diminished stuff, maybe they're slightly less clear about it. So let's see if we can make this as straightforward as possible. Okay, let's talk about the augmented chord first. And I'm going to start by putting up a major chord. So if we have the note C at the bottom of this, what's going to be a triad, and remember, always start by constructing the triad, the essential 3 notes, and then you can turn it into chords with 4 notes, 5 notes, 10 notes, whatever you want to do. Space it out in whichever order you want to as well. But just getting the essential triad is the first step. So if I'm going to build on C, a major triad will look like this, because in order to form a triad, I'm going to add a 3rd and a 5th above the bottom note. The bottom note's often called the root or the root note. So just in case you come across that term, you're not quite sure what it is. So the C is the root of this chord. That is a major triad. So C, E, G. Now, how do I know that's a major triad? Well, first of all, if the bottom note is C, and I therefore think in the key of C major has no sharps, no flats. So the 3rd note above C is E, the 5th note above C is G, and we know that E and G are notes in the key of C major. So in this case, that's all going to work out. As long as the 3rd note is the 3rd note in the major scale of the bottom note, and the 5th note is the 5th note in the major scale of the bottom note, you know you've always got a major triad. Okay, another way of looking at that, in case you're not quite so sure about keys and which sharps and flats might be in which keys, is simply to do this. If I've given myself C and I want to build a major triad on C, if I count in semitones up from the C, 1, 2, 3, 4 gives me E, then 5, 6, 7 gives me G. So 7 and 4. So if you're wanting to count the semitones or the half steps, it's 7 semitones or half steps above that root note, and 4 will give you the notes. Okay, now if I want to turn this into an augmented triad, all I need to do now is to look at the 5th and raise it a semitone. So that G at the top is going to become a G sharp. Okay, so if I can find the major triad, C, E, G, all I've got to do is raise the G, the 5th, C, E, G sharp. Don't call it A flat because then it becomes a different chord. It's got different notes in it, but call it G sharp. And of course, following on from the logic of counting in semitones or half steps, you'll see that that will now be 8 and 4. If I start with the C, 1, 2, 3, 4 takes me to the E, 5, 6, 7, 8 takes me to the G sharp. So that gives me an augmented triad, and any of those methods we've just discussed will give you the notes that you need for an augmented triad. Okay, let's have a think about how we form a diminished triad. So we'll do the same thing. We'll build it on the same root notes, that's C, and we'll start with the major triad exactly as we did before. So exactly as we talked about before, there's your major triad on C. Okay, now if I want to turn that into a minor triad, that's the first thing I've got to do on the way from major, then what we do is we take the 3rd and we lower the 3rd by a semitone. So E becomes E flat. So the major triad was C, E, G. By lowering the 3rd by a semitone or a half step, it goes minor, C, E flat, G. Okay, so you see how that one works. Okay, and we talked about the semitone thing. So in a major triad, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you've got 7 and 4. But in a minor triad, you've got 7 and 3. Okay, So you'll have 1, 2, 3 for the E flat, 4, 5, 6, 7 for the G. Once you've got a minor triad, the next thing to do is to allow the top note to be a semitone or a half step lower. So we also have G flat. So now I've got C, E flat, G flat. I have a diminished triad. So you see how we did that? We started with a major triad, then we said lower the third by a semitone and lower the fifth by a semitone. And now I get diminished. Okay, what does that work out to in terms of semitones or half steps? Well, there's the C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 for the E flat, 4, 5, 6. So that gives me a 6 and a 3. So if you want to go straight there without having to think in keys and all the rest of it, if you've got a root note on which you want to build an augmented or a diminished triad, simply count 8 and 4 half steps semitones for an augmented, or count 6 and 3 semitones or half steps for a diminished. But you might find it helpful to reference this in relation to, well, if this is a major triad, what makes it minor? What makes it diminished? If this is a major triad, what do I have to do to make it augmented? So it just gives you different ways of working out how to build augmented and diminished triads so that you can then form a chord with as many notes as you want to using the notes of those triads. So I hope that's just clarifying for you how to build these essential triads. Well, if you found this useful, you might want to go to our website at www.mmcourses.co.uk, where you will find our A to Z theory courses that go literally step by step through all the theory that you'll ever really need to know. And everything's explained and demonstrated by it being written on the board, and you can hear it in sound, you'll see the keys light up and so on. So it's a great way to learn your theory. We've got oral development material there, we've got all sorts of other things, how to compose, all sorts of things that might interest you. So do have a look at that. While you're on the homepage, have a click on Maestros, because if you decide to join Maestros, it comes with all sorts of perks, including the possibility of discounts off our courses, and also the opportunity to join in our monthly live streams and connect with musicians around the world who are also interested in exactly the same things as you are. And when we meet on the live streams, we can have live chat, we can study together, you can have one-to-one feedback on anything you've written or any performances. So that's a fabulous opportunity to meet together, which is something you may well want to do.